Video game music is one of my favourite things in the entire world. I think it's fascinating just how much emotion can be conveyed through bit-crushed beats and atmospheric drones. It can make you feel like a total badass, and then turn that badass into an emotional nightmare when done well. David Wise, Stuart Copeland and Josh Mansell are the first three legendary video game music names that always come to my mind. But what about everyone else? There are some great soundtracks out there that lack recognition. Maybe because they're in games with more interesting things to talk about, or simply because there are better listens elsewhere to be found. So today, I'd like to pick out and showcase some of my favourite video game soundtracks that deserve more attention. Please keep in mind that this is a personal list, so it's entirely subjective, only meant to serve as a discussion of music. The only rule I have is no real music. Licensed tracks are banned. With that done, get your headphones on for maximum enjoyment and let's begin. Ever play Arrow Flash? It's a really enjoyable side-scrolling shooter on the Genesis with some nice visuals and addicting gameplay, like all of these games. One thing that helps it though is the music. I want nothing more than some kick-ass tunes to pump me up when playing a game like this, and this game certainly has it. This soundtrack has that classic Genesis sound, gritty synth metal that makes blasting fools out of the sky all that more enjoyable amongst the chaos on screen. Very enjoyable and seriously underrated, both the soundtrack and the game itself. You know something? This game has been on my review hit list since I first started, but it just hasn't happened yet. Street Racer is a neat little kart racer that reeks of Mode 7, released on all of the systems it could get its creepy little hands onto. The soundtracks are rather diverse because of this, however, which makes this an interesting decision. We've got proper music on the disc systems, and 16-bit Sega and Nintendo styles on cartridge. While the music is always good across all versions, I think the Super Nintendo soundtrack suits the game best. It's bouncy and fun, but also gets a little heavier from time to time. The only way I could describe it, it's like someone took the Genesis soundtrack and put it through an SNES. It's pretty funky. I like it. Well worth a listen, all versions of it. Seems like not too long ago I spent an entire day outside playing with my Hot Wheels cars and turned the clock back 10 years. Put simply, one of the reasons Hot Wheels Extreme Racing will always be on my favourites lists, despite its terrible design, is for the soundtrack. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. It's like a metal, techno, roller rink wet dream I once had. In fact, I remember going to a roller rink one time and I shit you not, the music from the Wasted Forest course was playing in the background. That blew my fucking mind when I was younger, and overall, this soundtrack is the only thing that has aged well with this beast. No better music for playing with toy cars as your house burns to the ground. This is what I love about these kinds of topics. We get to explore all the other stuff you don't hear about as much. Spyro is a unique 2.5D platformer on the PlayStation where you play as a technically modified spider on a quest to save his creator. While the gameplay and scale of the world really help with the immersion of such an experience, the soundtrack only amplifies its effectiveness of making you feel like a tiny insect, stylized to a variety of different locations and turned up for the boss battles. While the tracks are all designed as atmospherically as possible, it's still a great listen in my opinion, with the jazzy beats and mechanical chimes. Together in unity, they create a sleeper hit in the auditory department of 1997. WCW was a giant in the late 90s, known for reality-based action and too cool for school personalities in the wrestling world, blowing up with the NWO. While the defunct brand was known for terrible music decisions back in the day, their video games clearly served far better. I remember when I first tried this game, I was taken back by how much it rocked. The opening cutscene alone has this brilliant track that gets you in the mood to chokeslam your own mother down some stairs, and the vibe is consistently cool throughout the entire game. Badass entrance music, testosterone-fueled tunes for the matches, and laid-back jazzy rock everywhere else. It's everything the NWO was about, and it's captured perfectly here, cementing the legacy even further with a great OST. Now I welcome you to one of the reasons I wanted to make this video. Jak and Daxter: The Lost Frontier is a perfect example of a series going on for too long, running out of ideas and a poor development cycle leading it to inevitably die. While the gameplay, story and graphical quality all reflect this, the soundtrack is by far the redeeming factor here. While I'll admit there are some rather generic, still good, but generic tracks here, tucked away and hidden are some heart-racing action sequences and gorgeous atmospheric music that has become overshadowed due to this game's reputation. The music is forgotten about in exchange for some cheap laughs at a criminally poor excuse of a video game, and I find that really sad. It still feels like a Jak and Daxter soundtrack, the biggest compliment this game will ever get, and a deserving compliment no less. Skip this game, but give the soundtrack a try. It's worth more than being buried with the coffin it's encased in. Okay, you guys know my intense animosity for this game, as does anyone who's played it. It's too easy for any schmuck to come along and attempt to rip it an extra asshole with a stupid video, majority of the time giving up way too early instead of actually making an effort with even the worst of games for the sake of a good video. If more people sat through this game, they would hopefully come to realise that its soundtrack is consistently bliss throughout the entire experience. Sure, some tracks are better than others, that's always the case, but with Copeland at the helm again, following the original Spyro trilogy, the music may not be as iconic, but still very good. I find most of it quite meditative actually. While I play the game as a release for my anger, I listen to the soundtrack to get through the day from time to time, and simply focus my thoughts. Everything from the relaxing chimes to the intense chase music, and some particularly cultured atmospherics later into the game, it's all wonderful. I'm really disappointed with those who disregard Enter the Dragonfly entirely, because we did get at least one great thing from this game. A gorgeous soundtrack that deserves far more credit. You probably saw this one coming, I'm sure. While the game Sheep Raider is talked about a lot more these days compared to when it was released, I still feel like this OST is deserving of a brighter spotlight. The entire thing is just so jazzy, you can't help but bop your bod while solving all these puzzles. Hell, it gets so steamy that it comes dangerously close to sounding like that old porno music. I seriously can't get enough of it. It takes a great soundtrack for a player's body to dance out of its seat. We all know these games are mostly frowned upon by the Crash Bandicoot community, to the point where people are both surprised and generally concerned when people can openly admit to actually enjoying them. I don't see why, the games are fine, but because of this stigma associated with them, I feel that both great soundtracks for these games are swept under the rug, much like some previous spots on this list. These games and their OSTs were the entire inspiration for making this video, as the music showcased here is really great. Some heavy action stuff, stylized cultural tunes and demonic drones, all anthems of their respective levels that fit perfectly. Never a dull moment in either soundtrack, but for me personally, I'd have to say I prefer Mind Over Mutant, purely because there are more memorable tracks. Both still deserving of more praise though, and honestly, a worthy enough reason to at least try these games if you haven't before. We've heard some great music in today's video, all underrated in my opinion and all ready for some true recognition. But before we take a listen to the top spot and make our ears delighted for the rest of time, here are some honourable mentions. Holy shit. What is there to say about this soundtrack other than Jesus Christ? If you're unfamiliar, Rival Schools United by Fate is a Capcom fighter far more enjoyable than Street Fighter in my opinion, because while it is easier to pick up and play, meaning I actually stand a chance, it's still a game that requires mastering and time devoted to it to actually be good. The story, gameplay and stages are all first class, which brings me to the music. This is how video game music should be, all the time, forever. It's insane just how fantastic this is, and wow, do I wish it was recognised as iconic next to its popular sibling, because it's truly something to behold. Intense, heart-pounding rock and mysteriously captivating tracks to go along with this game's frantic story. Words can't put into value just how superb this is, and I desperately encourage you to give it a listen. Well, that was my top 10 underrated video game soundtracks. I hope you enjoyed them and discovered some hidden gems along the way. Be sure to let me know some of your favourite underrated video game soundtracks with a comment down below, followed with liking, subscribing and sharing the video. I'm Square Eye Jack and I hope you have a great fucking day. Thanks for watching.